What's wrong with that? We've both been to places like that. If you don't want me to take him, why don't you stay and keep him company? Long Shiyu retorted. Morong Qingchang was left speechless. Things were getting more and more chaotic, so I simply said I wanted to sleep. Long Shiyu smiled. Alright, you can have my bed. Qingchang and I will sleep on the floor tonight. As soon as I lay down, I closed my eyes and started silently repeating the word don't. Suddenly, Long Shiyu yanked me up. Trying to wriggle out of this? Almost fooled me. You're not sleeping until you help me find the palace stabilizing stone. I'm really tired, I said. This is the 15th of 58 sections. As requested, I have processed the content while maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall format. Here is the result. She waved her hand as if she was about to hit me, leaving me no choice but to get out of bed reluctantly. This must be what they call the suppression of blood ties. I asked, do you really want to retrieve the palace stone? Of course, she snorted in reply. The person who stole the Dragon Palace stone must have a solid plan. As the head of the Yellow River Dragon Palace, even you can't sense where the stone is, which means that person not only stole it but also used secret techniques to mask its aura, making it impossible for you to locate, I analyzed. That's why I'm asking for your help, she replied. I'll help, but you have to agree to one condition, I said, looking at her. What condition? Just say it. I dare to promise anything, she said confidently, as if ready to agree to anything. Stay out of my business with him, I said slowly. Her expression froze, showing hesitation and helplessness before she eventually fell silent. I call you sister because I don't want to hurt you. As long as you stay out of it, I'll keep calling you sister, but if you interfere, we'll be strangers, I continued. Little brother, you, Long Shiyu sighed. This is a matter between two men. Don't get involved, Morong Qingcheng suddenly spoke up, clearly siding with me. But one of them is my father, and the other is my brother, Long Shiyu sighed deeply, her brows furrowing as she looked pained. I'm nothing more than the illegitimate child he forced my mother to bear. Strictly speaking, we're not that close, I said, not wanting to see her upset. Her eyes turned red. How are you not close? When Auntie gave birth to you 18 years ago, I held you in my arms. You even nuzzled against me looking for milk. You probably don't remember, but I do. You were so tiny, chubby, and adorable, even pulling my hair and hurting me. I was stunned. I had no memory of what she said, but I could feel how much she cared for me back then. So, when my mother fled back then, was it her who secretly helped? How else could an ordinary person escape from the Yellow River Dragon King? But now that you've grown up, you're not cute at all, she added. I hesitated to speak. My heart turned with emotion, a pang of sorrow rising as my nose stung and my eyes welled up. In these 18 years, besides my late mother and master, it turned out there was someone else who cared for me. No wonder she never told the Yellow River Dragon King who I was. She had seen me as a child. With guilt, I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know you held me when I was little. If I had known earlier, I would have been grateful to her. But she had never mentioned it. Morong Qingcheng softly said, before Shiyu found you, she often talked about you. She said that when you were little, you were so hungry once that you bit her and even made her bleed. Bit her where? I asked, having no memory of it. Don't ask, Long Shiyu said. I fell silent. She said, I don't know why, but the first time I saw you, I thought you were adorable. I can't explain it. You didn't cry or fuss, you were so well behaved, and I just found you pleasing. Back then, I couldn't bear the thought of you dying. If he had eaten you, I would have been heartbroken. But now you're asking me to stay out of your business with him, and I don't know what to do. Her eyes were filled with the loving affection of an older sister as she finished speaking. I sighed. Let's not talk about this for now. Take me to the guest room, and I'll help you find the palace stone. When everything is tallied, I owe Long Shiyu. You're becoming cute again, she said, wiping her tears and smiling. She seemed as happy as a child, eagerly leading me forward. I was baffled. Was it really necessary to be this excited? Morong Qingcheng followed us out, saying, she rarely gets this happy, except when she's around you. Her relationship with the Yellow River Dragon King's other child is terrible. They've even fought and both ended up injured. That child was supposed to call her sister, and Shiyu treated him well. But he has a venomous nature, just like the Yellow River Dragon King. He often competed with Shiyu for things and assumed she wanted to take the Dragon King's throne. He's tried to kill Shiyu many times, even after she moved to the human world to start a company. He wouldn't leave her alone. They're supposed to be siblings, but their relationship is so bad it's like a reenactment of the Xuanwu Gate incident. That's why Shiyu detests him. She's always wanted a younger brother. When you were born, so quiet and calm, she naturally liked you. My expression shifted slightly. So, that's how it was. Morong Qingcheng continued, I think she'll stand by your side. With a complicated feeling, I looked at the cheerful Long Shiyu ahead of us, and we quickened our pace. She led me to the guest room, where the lights were much brighter, clearly indicating more guests had arrived. Little brother, don't alarm anyone. Don't embarrass the Dragon Palace. We must find the palace stone discreetly, she whispered. As I was pondering, a cold and unfamiliar voice interrupted. Long Shiyu, you can't even find a single palace stone? How useless. What are you doing back here? Can't you just run your company in the human world? You promised father to quietly find the palace stone, yet you can't even handle that. Or are you here to compete with me? Instinctively, I looked over and saw a tall young man approaching with a cold, ruthless expression and murderous intent. Long Shiyu stepped in front of me. Be careful. That's father's ninth son, Long Chando, your brother. Ugh, he doesn't deserve to be called your brother. Long Chando? I had never met him and didn't consider him my brother at all. Aside from Long Shiyu and the Lady of the Water Palace, everyone else in the Yellow River Dragon Palace was my enemy. He was handsome but had a cruel glint in his eyes, exuding a domineering aura. He was even stronger than Long Shiyu. His brows carried an evil air, as if he practiced sinister techniques likely based on human blood, a testament to his ruthless nature. However, he seemed to have encountered some recent setbacks, indicating that his cultivation wasn't going smoothly. In just 10 seconds, I had seen through him. He couldn't be trusted and required vigilance. He and Long Shiyu were complete opposites. She was kind and lively, while he was cold and sinister. Were they really siblings? I suspected they weren't full siblings. Shiyu might resemble their mother more, while Long Chando resembled their father, the Dragon King. Useless. Go back and rest. I'll find the palace stone and deliver it to father myself. Long Chando sneered, not sparing me or Morong Chingcheng a glance. He didn't regard us at all. Why should I leave? I'm not going anywhere. Long Shiyu retorted indignantly. You want to fight me for it? Long Chando glared at her with murderous eyes. So what if I do? Shiyu snapped, her temper flaring. He was icy and ruthless, showing no respect or familial affection for his sister, utterly heartless. The palace stone concerns the reputation of the Dragon Palace. Instead of finding it, you're picking a fight with me? Shiyu retorted coldly. Have you found it yet? Long Chando sneered. Still looking, she replied. Here's the translated content, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Still haven't found it? Trash will always be trash. Something as trivial as the palace stone, I could retrieve it in minutes. You've been dragging your feet for half a day with no results. I think you should just roll back to the human world and run your little company. Otherwise, don't blame me if I make you disappear forever. The only ones I trust are the dead. They won't contest me. Anyone who threatens me, I make sure they die. Long Chando sneered, his tone abruptly icy, his gaze twisted with malice, his threats shockingly blatant. He clearly didn't regard Long Shiyu as worth his attention. Long Shiyu's body trembled violently. She felt pain, his heartless words cut deep, while hers were full of emotion. She was hurt, her own brother, treating her like this. Judging by his attitude, Long Shiyu might have raised him with her own hands, only to be betrayed now. Her heart turned cold as steel. I could feel her pain. After all, I'd been betrayed 18 times before. Long Shiyu's eyes reddened slightly. You're not even pretending anymore? You're just outright saying you want to kill me? Morong Chingcheng's face turned purple with anger. I never said I'd kill you. But obstacles in my way? I smash and kick them aside. If you don't want me to kick you aside, get lost and stop wasting my time finding the palace stone. Long Chando sneered. Long Shiyu suppressed her rage, wanting to strike Long Chando, but in the end, she held back. Her heart grew completely cold. Seeing this, I stepped forward. You just said you could find the palace stone in minutes? Long Chando didn't even look at me, continuing to glare at Long Shiyu. A piece of trash can't teach a servant, and those who follow her are even more useless. Trash like you dares to speak to me? If you can't teach, I'll teach for you. Enough. Say what you want about me, but what did he do to you? Say one more word about him, and I'll beat you to death today. Long Shiyu exploded, fury blazing in her eyes like icy daggers. Long Chando frowned, lazily glanced at me, and scoffed dismissively, just a worthless nobody. Long Shiyu was on the verge of losing it. I looked at him and asked, you really can find the palace stone in minutes? Trash like you has no right to speak to me. Don't know your place, and you interrupt me? I'll tear you apart for that. You're so pathetic, throwing yourself at the gunpoint. How desperate can you get? Long Chando arrogantly pointed at my forehead, his gaze fierce. I didn't back down and shot back sarcastically. The word trash suits you better, doesn't it? Sneaking around practicing dark arts, and now you're suffering the consequences? Absorbing essence and blood for cultivation, only to end up going mad? What happened? Did you absorb the essence of someone impotent, and now you're the one who's useless? My words left Long Shiyu and Morong Qingqing stunned, and even the usually arrogant Long Chando froze on the spot. His expression shifted from shock to shame, and in an instant, his eyes filled with murderous intent. He growled coldly, "What did you just say?" A chilling aura of killing intent surged toward me. He clearly hadn't expected someone as insignificant as me to expose his secret. "Seems like you're really trash, can't even hear properly," I said, spreading my hands. Long Chendo's face darkened with murderous rage, ready to make a move. Long Shiyu was unexpectedly amused by my words, even letting out a laugh. Morong Qingqing couldn't help but chuckle as well. "Want to die?" Long Qiandao snarled coldly. "I'm giving you the chance, go ahead, kill me if you can. Let's see if you'll take it," I replied. "Kill you? I don't need your permission to do that. Who do you think you are?" Long Qiandao sneered with utter disdain. "You said you could find the palace stone in minutes? Show us. Prove it. If you find it, I'll kill myself right here," I challenged. "And who do you think you are to?" Long Qiandao began. "If you can't find it, then kneel and apologize to Long Shiyu," I interrupted coldly. I had to help her vent her frustration. Long Shiyu looked at me in surprise, instinctively turning her gaze toward me. Long Qiandao's face darkened. "Who do you think you are to stand up for her? You're nothing. Are you going to follow through on your words or not?" I interrupted again. Long Qiandao's anger flared, but he couldn't back up his earlier boast. He had no idea how to locate the palace stone in minutes. Trying to divert the conversation, he said, "Do you think I'll jump at your every word? Who do you think you are, giving me orders? So, you can't do it? Then why brag about finding it in minutes?" My words were cutting. Boom! A powerful aura burst out of Long Qiandao's body. Guests in the nearby rooms could feel the energy and curiously peeked out their doors to see what was happening. The atmosphere grew tense. Long Qiandao knew he couldn't act recklessly in front of so many guests, losing face wasn't an option. Suppressing his fury, he suddenly let out a cold laugh and said venomously, "Fine. You've got 1 minute to find the palace stone. If you can't, I'll break your bones, inch by inch." 1 minute? "Half a minute is more than enough," I said to Long Shiyu. "The thief is in the 3rd row, left-hand side, house number 10. Go find him." Long Shiyu's eyes lit up. She was about to run off, but I stopped her. "This guy's cautious and values-saving face. Don't expose him outright, give him an out. Say this, there's a hole in the wall, and it's letting in cold air. Let's move you to another room. If he agrees, it means he understands the situation and will leave the palace stone behind. Just search briefly, and you'll find it. No need to make things messy." "And if he plays dumb?" Long Shiyu asked. "Then say this, I'm about to shut the door and beat the dog. If he keeps playing dumb, he's asking for public humiliation. At that point, just expose him. But I doubt he'll have the guts to push it that far." Long Shiyu nodded eagerly, "Got it." I leaned in and whispered something additional in her ear. Her eyes sparkled as she glanced at Long Qiandao. "All right." She dashed toward the room, with Morong Qingqing following anxiously behind. Long Qiandao laughed mockingly. "Ridiculous. I know that guy, he's timid and would never steal the palace stone." "Is that so?" I pointed at the room. Not even 10 seconds later, a short man emerged, looking flustered and defeated. With a resigned sigh, he shuffled away. Long Qiandao was stunned. Before half a minute had passed, Long Shiyu burst out of the room, holding a colorful stone in her hand. Long Qiandao's eyes widened in shock, while Morong Qingqing laughed in delight as she ran back. "This is the palace stone. You were spot on," Long Shiyu exclaimed excitedly, winking at me. I nodded subtly in response. Swinging the stone in front of Long Qiandao's face, she taunted, "See? The palace stone is found, and quickly, too. Now, kneel and apologize," I demanded, staring at Long Qiandao. "Childish." Long Qiandao's face darkened. Though stunned, he quickly suppressed his emotions and shamelessly said, "Coincidence. Hand over the stone. I'll return it immediately. If anything happens to the Dragon Palace, I won't spare you." "No way. You just want to take the palace stone to claim credit." Long Shiyu saw through his ploy. Long Qiandao didn't deny it, laughing smugly. "And what if I do? I'm the most outstanding one in father's eyes. It's my time to shine." He snatched the palace stone and turned triumphantly toward the Yellow River Dragon Palace to take the credit. Morong Qingqing fumed, but Long Shiyu and I exchanged a knowing smile. I asked Long Shiyu, "Did you do what I asked earlier?" She nodded. "I did. That person's room happened to have feng shui yang energy, so I transferred it onto the Jingong stone. He didn't notice, he was too focused on grabbing the stone." I nodded. "Feng shui yang energy counters dark arts. I wonder what happens when they come into contact. Probably a significant reduction in his powers, right? A significant reduction in powers? Long Shiyu was taken aback, and Morong Qingcheng also looked stunned. Yeah, at best, his powers will weaken. At worst, that hand of his is done for. If someone ends up groveling and apologizing, I might consider telling him how to fix it. I shrugged. Just as I finished speaking, Long Chando, who had been gearing up to claim credit, froze in place. He looked down at the hand holding the stone, and his eyes widened to the point they almost popped out. His palms started emitting black smoke, as if it had been burned. The skin began peeling off, and there was even the stench of scorched flesh in the air. In stark contrast, Long Shiyu's hand, which had also handled the feng shui yang energy, remained unscathed and pristine. Seeing this, I couldn't help but smirk coldly in my heart. Even your father, the Yellow River Dragon King, couldn't outmaneuver me. Did you really think you'd stand a chance? When I pinpointed the location of the Jingong stone, I realized it was in a key feng shui spot in the Dragon Palace, brimming with pure yang energy. I asked Long Shiyu to collect some of that energy, and who would have thought that Long Chando, in his rush to claim glory, would grab the stone without so much as a second glance? If trouble arose, it was entirely on him. Feng shui yang energy suppresses dark arts, and now Long Chando's cultivation technique is malfunctioning. He can't withstand it. Long Chando's expression twisted with shock and rage. The Jingong stone, as if it were a searing hot coal, was flung from his hand in a panic. The result? His palm became severely cracked, dry as dead wood, and downright terrifying. Long Shiyu chuckled lightly, raised her hand, and effortlessly summoned the Jingong stone back to her. The stark contrast between her unharmed hand and Long Chando's mangled one couldn't have been more obvious. I sneered. Serves you right for secretly practicing dark arts. You dare to set me up? Long Chando roared, furious and shocked, clearly not expecting me to pull this off. He began casting spells to heal his hand, but the cracks were too severe, and his hand was beyond saving. His body was filled with dark energy. Unless he cut off his arm, he was done for. It was only a matter of time before it spread. I'll give you 3 seconds to decide. I raised 3 fingers. Long Chando's face twisted in fury, his jaw clenched. 2. His eyes turned blood red, like a crazed beast. 3. I finished the countdown, but he still didn't kneel. I shrugged. If you don't want to kneel, suit yourself. No need to force it. Oh, by the way, your hand's probably a lost cause. Might want to chop it off sooner rather than later. With that, I turned and walked off. Morong Qingcheng and Long Shiyu followed. Long Shiyu grinned and said, "Impressive, I've never seen him suffer a loss before." "That's because he's never run into me," I replied nonchalantly. "Stop right there." Long Chando suddenly leapt in front of me, like a rabid beast. "Give me back the feng shui yang energy, or I'll kill you." I stepped closer without a care. "A ruined hand is the least of your worries. If that yang energy reaches your dantian, your dark arts will be completely destroyed. You bastard, I'll kill you." His killing intent was palpable. I remained calm, gripping the lightning bamboo sword in my hand. Its sensitivity to my thoughts meant that with a single flick of my mind, it would enlarge instantly, making it all too easy to put an end to him with one strike. Time's running out. What's it going to be? Your pride or your powers? I smiled. The crowd's growing. Better decide quickly, kneel or not. Stop wasting everyone's time. Long Chando hesitated, then tried a different approach. "I'll give you 10 million. Is this supposed to be a bribe to avoid kneeling?" I laughed. 50 million, he said coldly. To him, it was just a number. I kept smiling. His face darkened, and he resorted to threats. "Do you have any idea who you're offending? You're provoking something far beyond what you can handle. Leave yourself a way out, for your own sake." Inwardly, I scoffed. Who cares about leaving a way out with you? If the opportunity presents itself tomorrow, I swear I'll kill you. First, I'll have the Yellow River Dragon King cover for me. Then, I'll make you pay for being an illegitimate child. Dying at the hands of the Dragon King's legitimate son. Oh, that'll infuriate you to no end. Enough with the nonsense. I waved him off and walked away with Long Shiyu. She grumbled, "He's not kneeling? I'll make him kneel." "Don't rush. Just wait a little longer," I replied coolly. We returned to our room. I lay down, Morong Qingcheng sat beside me, and Long Shiyu paced around anxiously. Why hasn't he knelt yet? He can't swallow his pride. How could the crown prince of the Dragon Palace stoop to kneeling? Morong Qingcheng reasoned. "You're wrong," I said. "He's vicious and spineless. A person like that? Forget kneeling. If you told him to eat dirt to save his hand, he'd happily do it." "Really?" Morong Qingcheng looked stunned. "Watch," I said, pointing to the door. Sure enough, Long Chando appeared. With a loud thud, he dropped to his knees before Long Shiyu without saying a word. Long Shiyu froze, and so did Morong Qingchang. Moments later, Long Shiyu broke into laughter, her long-standing bitterness finally released. I wasn't surprised. If anything, I was more certain. Tomorrow, I must find a way to kill him. If he can kneel today, he'll harbor resentment and come after me someday, exacting revenge tenfold, 100-fold. There's no way I'll let this ticking time bomb stay around. Long Xiandao stood up, his bloodshot eyes glaring at me. Tell me the solution. I got up from the bed and walked over. Squatting down, I examined his withered hand, peeling off the dead skin. Then I channeled the pure yang energy within me and blew it onto his palm. The feng shui yang energy on his hand dissipated instantly. My yang energy was stronger, so naturally, it displaced his. Sure enough, his hand began to regain its vitality, as if it were being rehydrated. It's done. Go treat the rest of your injuries yourself, I said flatly. Consider yourself dead. Long Qiandao spat venomously, his eyes cold and unyielding as though he truly considered me a dead man walking. With that parting threat, he left to heal himself. Watching him leave, I smirked and casually closed the door. I crouched down and picked up the piece of dead skin I had peeled off. While others might find it useless or even revolting, we fortune tellers see it as a treasure. I chuckled. You've already been outmaneuvered by me once, yet you still don't learn. The piece of skin had palm lines, handwriting, essentially. Though incomplete, if I used it to deduce his birthdate and time, then applied spells against him, he'd be in for a world of trouble. I examined the hand skin closely, analyzing quietly. Brother, you're incredible. I'll return the Jingong stone first, then come find you, Long Shiyu said cheerfully before running off. Morong Qingchang locked the door and looked at me, her face full of concern. He's a man without limits, that makes him even more dangerous. You've crossed Long Qiandao, and he'll stop at nothing to retaliate against you. Retaliate? He'd better survive first. I sneered. Though the piece of skin was darkened, it conveniently had part of the lifeline near the edge. What luck! The lifeline is a fascinating thing. My master once told me a story about it that I'll never forget. This is section 1858. Here's your content processed according to the original structure, format, and layout. She once met a guest whose lifeline was extraordinarily short and predicted he would die in a car accident within 3 days. Master Zhang Jiushuan's fortune-telling was never wrong. Yet, a month later, the guest returned, battered and leaning on crutches. He had indeed been in a major car accident but survived. The master couldn't figure out why. Until the guest showed his palm, his lifeline had been extended by a scar from the accident. This extended scar had spared his life and even lengthened his lifespan. After telling the story, the master added that the guest was now healthy and could live for several more decades. Since Long Qiandao's lifeline is in my hands, it can be extended to lengthen a life or shortened. But tampering with someone's lifespan might violate the Book of Life and Death, and the King of Hell could come after me. Not that I care. Let's see if the Yellow River Dragon King can handle losing a son first. I began preparing for the spell and turned to Morong Qingchang. Watch the door for me. I'm about to do something. What are you doing? Nothing major, just planning to cut off the Yellow River Dragon King's bloodline. Morong Qingchang's face paled. You really want Long Qiandao dead? If he dies, won't the Yellow River Dragon King have only you left as a son? Are you hoping he'll make you the heir to the Dragon Palace, like some ancient emperor passing down his throne? Maybe he'll put you in a position of power. I'm not his son. I don't want his favor, and I certainly don't want the Yellow River Dragon Palace. Why should I become a replacement because his son is gone? 18 years ago, he wanted me dead, and now, 18 years later, he wants to pass his position to me? Should I live or die based on his whims? I'll decide for myself. I just want to watch him die. I looked up and said coldly. Morong Qingchang softly replied, I was just saying, don't be mad. I hummed in acknowledgement, knowing she meant no harm. It was just a case of thoughtless words meeting sensitive ears. I pulled out some paper and yellow talisman paper, channeling my young energy as ink. I began drawing a life sigil on the yellow paper. Then, I placed a piece of Long Qiandao's hand skin on the sigil and used a brush to carve a slash through his lifeline as if with a blade, severing it outright. The sigil emitted a faint glow. My eyes lit up, the sigil was complete. Technically, for such a sigil to take full effect, it would take years, even decades, to claim a life. But I had devised another way, temporarily severing the lifeline to stun him for a few seconds, giving me the perfect window to strike him down. I stashed the sigil away. Morong Qingchang said nothing, though her face held a trace of guilt. At that moment, Long Shiyu returned the palace sealing stone to its place and came running in. Little brother, you've done the Yellow River Dragon Palace a great service. The Dragon King wants to see you now. I flopped back onto the bed. Morong Chingcheng froze for a moment. Long Shiyu walked over and said, I'm serious. He's impressed by your abilities, finding the stone and all, and he wants to meet you. I yawned. Are you done? Not yet. I'm going to sleep, I said, turning to close my eyes. Long Shiyu sighed, fine. I'll let him know you're not meeting him today. I didn't respond. She said, sleep well. Is the bed comfortable? It's okay. If you need anything, let us know. We'll sleep on the floor. With that, she pulled Morong Chingcheng over to set up bedding on the ground. They chatted for a while. Long Shiyu mentioned needing to patrol later to ensure the wedding tomorrow went smoothly. Morong Chingcheng said she wanted to sleep too. But I wasn't sleeping. Silently, I started interpreting a word. Yay. Breaking it down revealed Ling and 2 knives. Tomorrow was critical. To avoid alarming the Yellow River Dragon King, I kept my calculations simple yet felt increasingly muddled. The Ling character had a mouth symbol, suggesting some celestial force was pressing down. But what exactly was this force? I dared not calculate further, resorting to vague guesses. The more I thought, the more confused I became. The Bia character's 2 knives resembled blades descending from above. Then it hit me, there seemed to be a missing gap between the 2 knives. Could this imply the Yellow River Dragon King was missing something? Missing his vitality? Or something else? Wait. No. This word was given to me by that mysterious woman, meaning the gap was something I brought. In other words, I could fill the Yellow River Dragon King's missing piece? No wonder she told me not to come here. This was strange. Was I destined to be eaten by the Dragon King tomorrow? Or was my presence the key to completing what he lacked? I couldn't relax. My mind spun in circles, and I sat up, feeling like I had wandered into the lion's den. What's wrong, little brother? Long Shiyu asked. Morong Chingcheng looked curious too. Nothing. I lay back down but couldn't close my eyes. Uneasy, I jumped out of bed and walked to the door. Where's his bedchamber? Over there, Long Shiyu pointed toward the depths of the Yellow River Dragon Palace. Repeat what Chingcheng said last time about the golden aura. She said only his bedchamber roof had a cluster of golden aura. Nothing else. What did this golden aura signify? Gold usually represented something good, but could he, in his injured state, have something so fortuitous? Was it a breakthrough in his cultivation? Mastery of a technique? Or something else? The more I thought, the messier it got. I stared toward the Dragon King's bedchamber and resolved to be cautious tomorrow. Little brother, are you hungry? Long Shiyu asked. I shook my head and walked toward the guest area, observing from behind a tree. No one was there, and I felt disappointed. Surely, she wouldn't blatantly attend a wedding, right? Just as I was about to head back, someone silently appeared behind me. I turned instinctively, exhaling deeply in relief. Standing before me was the tall, composed, and stunning 1,000-year-old fox demoness. She actually came? I thought she would have transformed into something else before showing up. Whatever it is, wait until tomorrow. This is his territory, the fox demoness said, glancing at the Yellow River Dragon King's bedchamber. I nodded and lowered my voice. Senior, a few days ago, there was golden aura above the Dragon King's bedchamber. What does it mean? Her face shifted slightly. What kind of golden aura? I couldn't describe it precisely, so I explained my analysis. Her eyes lit up. Golden aura is a sign of auspiciousness. Could it be him? She suddenly grew wary. That old bastard has been hiding this deep? I haven't even reached that level, and he's already surpassed me. I didn't catch what she mumbled, but her shifting expression filled me with unease. The fox demoness locked eyes with me. Don't act tomorrow. No matter what. Don't act? I was stunned. I came all this way to strike while he was injured, why hold back now? Yes. She nodded firmly. Here's your content, fully processed while maintaining all requested formatting and narrative flow. Why? I asked. Don't ask, I don't fully understand either. Just don't make a move, she said, heading back to her room. I stopped her. Senior, make it clear. Listen to me, or you'll fall into his trap. The millennial-old fox spirit said this and vanished. I was left stunned. I came full of excitement, but now I can't act tomorrow? I couldn't accept it. No way, I'll find an opportunity in this crisis. I'll assess the situation. If it's really like she said, I'll help the Water Palace lady find the medicine and retreat. But if it's not, I'll fight to the end. This is a rare chance. I kept my gaze fixed on the guest's area. The fox spirit seemed to sense it. Suddenly, Her voice came to my ears. I know you're unwilling. Tomorrow, go to his bedchamber and look for a golden letter. If you find it, follow my advice. If not, do as you planned. All right. I nodded. Be careful. This is his territory. Her voice faded away. Caution was necessary. I had to keep a low profile. Returning to my room quickly, I noticed Long Shiyu and Morong Qingcheng watching me with puzzled expressions. I shut the door and lay down without saying a word. She asked softly, "What's wrong? Worried about tomorrow? Just say it, don't bottle it up. As long as I'm here, I'll protect you." I turned on my side and said, "It's nothing. Let's sleep." She didn't press further. I closed my eyes and fell asleep quickly, though I vaguely sensed Long Shiyu slipping out in the middle of the night, while Morong Qingcheng stayed by my side. At dawn, Long Shiyu returned, exhausted, and tried to get me to give up the bed. Groggy, I ignored her, so she flopped down beside me and fell asleep almost instantly. An hour later, the palace outside was bustling, the guests were arriving in droves. I woke up abruptly, realizing the wedding of the Yellow River Dragon King and the Water Palace lady was about to begin. I glanced at Long Shiyu, still sleeping like the dead. She hadn't woken up, so I got up quietly. Morong Qingcheng roused the reluctant Long Shiyu after 10 more minutes of lounging. After washing up, the three of us were ready. I squinted out the window, observing the growing crowd. Many prominent figures from the human realm had arrived. My gaze locked onto the Dragon King's bedchamber. To be honest, I wasn't nervous or scared. Instead, I felt eerily calm. 18 years. After 18 long years, I was finally going to face the one who had made my life miserable all this time. "Hey, little bro, how does this outfit look on me?" Lost in thought, I felt a tap on my shoulder and instinctively turned. It was Long Shiyu, and I froze for a moment. She was tall and slender, her long, slightly wavy hair cascading over her shoulders like ocean waves. Today, she wore a pale gold gown that brushed elegantly against her pristine ankles. The outfit was both formal and relaxed, with a thin gold belt that accentuated her slim waist. I had to admit, she was naturally beautiful. Even such a simple dress made her look like a celestial maiden descending to earth, exquisite and regal, without outshining the Water Palace lady. I stared at her for a moment, then shook my head. "Your waist looks a bit thick. I can see a little belly." Honestly, it was strange. Why did she remind me of someone like Ru Hua *? No matter how I looked at her, she seemed unattractive. She was so ugly, it was unbearable. "Thick where?" Long Shiyu snorted, glancing down at her waist in mild panic. "Qingcheng, he says my waist looks thick, and I have a belly." Morong Qingcheng walked over, wearing tight yoga pants and a fitted t-shirt, her neat ponytail adding to her athletic appeal. Her legs looked even longer and straighter. "He's just talking nonsense," Morong Qingcheng said. But Long Shiyu grew more self-conscious. "I really think my belly's a bit big. Let me check yours." She reached out to lift Morong Qingcheng's shirt, but Morong Qingcheng clutched it down with a flustered expression. "Can you not embarrass me? You said my little bro doesn't count, so it's fine," Long Shiyu retorted. "But I do care." Morong Qingcheng snapped, her face stern. Long Shiyu reluctantly relented. Morong Qingcheng shot me a glare. I cleared my throat awkwardly, sensing that if I weren't here, Long Shiyu might really strip someone down to compare figures. "Stop dawdling," I urged. 10 minutes later, we left the room together. "The wedding ceremony is in the Dragon Palace Plaza. I'll take you there," Long Shiyu said. We weaved through the Grand Dragon Palace. A stream of unfamiliar guests was also heading toward the plaza. Both sides of the path were adorned with red lanterns, hanging like fiery fruit on flourishing trees, brimming with festive joy. When we reached the plaza, it resembled a massive coliseum, covering at least 5 or 6 basketball courts in size. The central round platform was carpeted with rose petals, their fragrance filling the air. It looked romantic, but the platform's arrangement seemed strange, almost like runes. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination, but something felt off. Rows of seating encircled the platform, and more people were taking their places. I hadn't been out in 18 years and didn't know a single person here. Yet everyone present, male or female, carried an extraordinary aura. Many were clearly top-tier experts, mostly spirits or monsters. Even the leader of the dragon group hadn't shown up yet. I scanned the crowd briefly, but their powerful gazes seemed to draw mine in, as if they were devouring my attention. These were likely masters with a millennium or more of cultivation. I tensed up and quickly averted my eyes. Strangely, a few of them were also staring at the central platform, their expressions subtly changing. Did they notice the odd runes too? But in the next moment, they composed themselves, as if nothing had happened. I couldn't shake my suspicion. Long Shiyu initially wanted to seat us in the front row, but I declined and chose an outer seat for easier movement. Morong Qingcheng sat beside me. Stay here and don't wander around, especially you, Long Shiyu instructed, pointing at me. I nodded as she left to greet guests. I still hadn't seen Long Chando. The wedding venue grew livelier. Members of the dragon group arrived, including their leader and some unfamiliar faces. The millennial-old fox spirit was also sitting in a corner. She cast a glance at the platform, her expression shifting briefly, but she kept silent. Almost everyone had arrived. Tall, graceful women were moving around near the platform, signaling that the ceremony was about to begin. I kept my gaze trained on the Dragon King's bedchamber, waiting. 10 minutes later, the Water Palace lady's voice suddenly echoed, "He's coming out of the bedchamber." I stood up immediately. Time was short, I had to act fast. "His bedchamber is enchanted. You must walk the 7-star steps, or you'll trigger the formation," the Water Palace lady warned. I wasn't surprised. How could the Dragon King's bedchamber lack defenses? If it didn't, that would be strange. Morong Qingcheng's expression darkened. "Where are you going?" "Bathroom," I replied. "Don't wander off. Shiyu specifically told me to watch you," she said, standing up herself. "Even to the bathroom?" I sighed. But she seemed to see through me. "Stay here. I'll be back soon." As soon as I moved, she grabbed my arm, her face serious. Ru Hua, a comedic reference to a famously unattractive character in Chinese pop culture. "I'm going to the Dragon King's chamber," I said bluntly. "Too dangerous. You're not allowed to go. Your sister isn't here, so I'm your sister now, and I won't let you," she replied, lowering her voice with a firm look in her eyes. We stared at each other for a few seconds before she finally let go. "Thank you." I took off running. "Be safe." She sighed. I hurried away from the square and sprinted toward the Dragon King's chamber, weaving through narrow corridors. Before I arrived, a commotion erupted behind me. Turns out the Yellow River Dragon King had already reached the square, leaving the chamber empty. I glanced back, thinking to myself, once I find the antidote, I'll come back to personally witness your grand wedding with the Water Palace lady. Fueled with newfound determination, I quickened my pace. In less than a minute, I was standing before a magnificent mansion, its splendor unmatched, its doors tightly shut. This grandeur could only belong to the Dragon King's chamber. Finding a hiding spot, I peeked out to survey the area. Red lanterns hung at the entrance, but sensing the energy within, I realized the place was devoid of life. Yet, the golden aura that Shiyu mentioned was absent from the roof. I concealed my presence and squinted to observe closely. Sure enough, a thin layer of spiritual light blanketed the surroundings. It wasn't obvious, but it was impenetrable, a formidable barrier. Without divine powers, it was impossible to see. Anyone ignorant of its presence and foolish enough to barge in would be entrapped. Thankfully, the Water Palace lady had warned me, otherwise, I'd have fallen for it. The Yellow River Dragon King is truly cunning. Following the Water Palace lady's instructions, I cautiously stepped in the pattern of the 7 stars, gradually approaching the door. Looking back, the barrier rippled but didn't react. I exhaled in relief. Placing both hands on the door, I gave it a push. With a creak, it opened. I peeked inside, scanning my surroundings carefully, then stepped in. As the door closed behind me, a sharp warning rang out near my ear like cracking bamboo, killing intent. "Be careful." I dodged instantly, but from the corner of my eye, I caught a flash of sharp, golden light hurtling toward me. I froze in place. It was a trap laid by the Yellow River Dragon King. I executed the 10 steps to death technique, but it wasn't enough to evade the strike completely. I could only shield my chest. In a flash, a layer of black light enveloped me before I could react. With a deafening boom, the black light shattered, and the golden light dissipated along with it. Pain exploded in my chest as I was thrown 5 or 6 meters back, landing heavily on the ground. Internal injuries flared up, and my throat tasted bitter. I almost coughed up blood but managed to seal the blood flow with yang energy, easing the turmoil. As I clutched my chest and struggled to my feet, I looked down to find a crack in the ghost jade that I carried. I suddenly realized, the ghost jade had absorbed the fatal blow. Without it, I might have already died. Zhang Jiushuan's gift turned out to be incredibly useful, a lifesaver, even. I felt both gratitude and fear. But judging by the damage, the ghost jade likely wouldn't survive another hit. The bamboo spirit's voice rang out again, "Residual poison from the Dragon King, it's a strike that would kill an ordinary person. Anyone trying to infiltrate the chamber would meet their end." With these double-layered protections in place, the Yellow River Dragon King could confidently hold his wedding in the main hall. I steadied myself. Since I had survived this trap, there probably wouldn't be more inside. Still, I remained vigilant, scanning the chamber. It wasn't what I had expected. The Dragon King's chamber was entirely unlike any other room. At the center stood a steaming spiritual spring, taking up nearly half the space. Beside it was an ice bed emitting a cold aura, clearly extraordinary. It must be where the Dragon King rested. The bed was stained with blood, likely from when he was gravely injured, indicating he had been recuperating there recently. Aside from that, the decor resembled an ordinary room, with spacious tables, chairs, and cabinets. The cabinets were inlaid with rare gemstones. What caught my attention most, though, were the priceless ancient paintings hanging on the walls. Could the Dragon King genuinely have a taste for such things? But where was the antidote to the dragon poison hidden? I figured that the Water Palace lady had surely searched every obvious spot in this room. Looking again would only waste time. If it wasn't in plain sight, could there be a secret chamber that even she hadn't discovered? I began analyzing carefully. My master once said that since the Dragon King's true form was a serpent, the antidote must be within a 10-step radius, most likely a plant, either a flower or an herb. I moved to the ice bed and meticulously searched within a 10-step range, but aside from the solid floor, there was nothing, not even a stray piece of furniture. Would I have to dig? Excavating the floor wasn't something I could accomplish quickly, and I was stumped. I walked over to the spiritual spring and dipped my hand into the water. It was slightly warm, soothing to the touch, and I even felt an urge to dive in and cultivate. Thankfully, I restrained myself. After feeling around the spring, I still found nothing. Where could it possibly be? Frustrated, I pulled out the bamboo spirit from my pocket. Help me look. It should be a plant, maybe it shares some connection with you. Try sensing it. The bamboo spirit, being an evolved plant, might be able to detect it. Another pair of hands couldn't hurt. All right. A faint green light emanated from the bamboo spirit as it floated nearby, scanning the area. I continued searching for a hidden chamber but found nothing. No wonder the Water Palace lady had been unable to cure the dragon poison after all these years. The Yellow River Dragon King had hidden it too well. I was growing anxious. Just as I was about to give up, I glanced up by chance and noticed something unusual about the roof. The thick beams above seemed to be brimming with vitality, sprouting green buds and branches. Clearly, they were made of dead wood, so how could this be? I hurriedly climbed up the nearest pillar to inspect. Sure enough, the beams showed signs of life, like dead wood coming back to life. Could this be the result of the golden aura that Shiyu mentioned? I called out, "Bamboo spirit, stop searching for now. Come up here." Got it. The bamboo spirit floated up, equally shocked. "Sir, dead wood coming back to life? Why is this happening?" I asked. I'd never seen anything like this before, and even my master hadn't mentioned it. "This is caused by immortal energy. Only immortal energy can revive dead wood," the bamboo spirit explained. Immortal energy? I was taken aback. There was immortal energy in the Dragon King's chamber? I suddenly recalled what the kitchen god had mentioned. The Dragon King knew an immortal, who might have descended to the mortal realm to celebrate his wedding, leaving behind traces of golden energy that Shiyu had spotted. Yes, but this immortal energy isn't complete. Something's missing, or the buds wouldn't be this small, the bamboo spirit added. So the immortal hadn't fully descended? Then where did this immortal energy come from? My mind raced. The circular platform's runes earlier, now this half-immortal aura, how were they connected? My thoughts were a chaotic swirl. Could the 1,000-year-old fox spirit's warning that I shouldn't act today really be true? I refused to accept it. The thunderbolt bamboo circled around me a few times, then suddenly sniffed at something and darted downward at high speed. I quickly slid down the beam to follow it. I saw the thunderbolt bamboo flash with spiritual light and burrow straight into the ice bed. My face fell as I hurried over. When it emerged, it held a golden, glowing envelope in its grip. I was stunned, as though struck by lightning. The 1,000-year fox demon just told me yesterday if I found a golden letter in the Dragon King's bedchamber, I shouldn't act rashly. And now the thunderbolt bamboo had found it for me. What kind of letter is this? Why did the 1,000-year fox demon forbid me from taking action upon seeing it? What's going on? I stood frozen for 2 minutes before snapping out of it. Reaching for the envelope, I tore it open with force, eager to see what was inside. The envelope was easily torn apart, revealing a pale golden letter. The characters, written as if with golden powder, shimmered brilliantly. In the next moment, I froze, wide-eyed and stiff all over as though struck by another bolt of lightning. How is this possible? What it says? How dare he? I couldn't believe what I was reading. I couldn't accept it. For a minute, I stood there, paralyzed. Then, silently, I slipped the letter back into the envelope and took a deep breath. I see now. So this is the reason. This is why the 1,000-year fox demon didn't want me to act last night. If I had, I'd have fallen right into his trap. I see now. Now I understand. That hold-back character I divined, it all makes sense now. Still, even if I can't kill you today, I won't let you have your way. If you succeed, I'll lose my chance. I'll never be able to stand against you. This is your opportunity, but it's also mine. Dragon King, oh Dragon King, you really shouldn't have let me see this letter. My gaze flickered as I carefully put the letter away and looked up at the withered wood coming to life on the beam above. No wonder the thunderbolt bamboo sensed half-immortal energy here earlier. What will you do, sir? The thunderbolt bamboo asked, its voice tinged with shock and a hint of admiration after reading the letter's contents. Why not just take it from him? The letter says he can call upon divine help at a critical moment, but that magic hasn't bonded to him yet. With the celestial letter in your hands, it'd be even easier to seize it. He wouldn't be able to stop you, the thunderbolt bamboo suggested. Its words made my eyes burn with excitement. But I shook my head. I'm not even a half-dragon yet. My body couldn't handle such magic. Your physique is already different from ordinary people, you're half-divine dragon. It'd be a waste not to try, the thunderbolt bamboo pressed on. I thought for a moment. All right. Check the ice bed again. If it held the letter, maybe the antidote for the dragon poison is also inside. The thunderbolt bamboo had sensed the celestial energy on the beam, which led it to discover the letter hidden in the ice bed. No one would have guessed that such a treasure lay within the ice bed. It nodded, its body turning a vivid green, and shot into the ice bed like a streak of light. Through the frosty mist emanating from the bed, I could see green light flowing inside, like liquid shifting in a bottle. The thunderbolt bamboo searched for a minute before emerging with a plant I had never seen before. It was indeed inside the ice bed. The plant was surrounded by white mist, shaped like rice stalks with blood-red, grape-like fruits. Its fragrance was rich and medicinal. My heart leapt with joy. This must be the detoxifying herb that grew within 10 steps of the Dragon King's lair back when he was still a serpent. Truly, nature balances itself. My master was right, it's always either a flower or a herb. I breathed a sigh of relief. At last, I could do something for the Water Palace mistress to free her from the Dragon King's control. Thunderbolt Bamboo, you've done well today. I praised. It's my duty as long as I'm following you, sir, it replied obediently, flying to my side and exhaling green mist to wrap around the herb. The fragrance of the herb was too strong and needed to be masked, or else the Yellow River Dragon King would surely detect it. The Thunderbolt Bamboo was quite experienced at this. Once everything was packed and ready, I left the Dragon King's bedchamber, shutting the door behind me. Using the 7-star steps, I walked silently and invisibly out of the room. In the distance, the plaza was bustling with noise and excitement. It was like stars surrounding the moon. Clearly, the Dragon King's wedding had begun. At this moment, he must be basking in the crowd's praise, preparing to bow to the heavens and earth with his bride. I fixed my gaze in that direction. Yellow River Dragon King, on your joyous wedding day, here I come. Are you ready for me? Activating my 10-step death technique, I sprinted toward the wedding venue. Suddenly, the letter made me reconsider my plan. Perhaps I could rescue the Water Palace mistress and take her away from him. As I sped up, someone unexpectedly appeared. It was Long Chando. His hand had recovered. What terrible luck! It seemed I'd have to use yesterday's preparations after all. How dare you enter my father's bedchamber? Were you trying to steal something? As I thought, you're just a petty thief. No wonder I disliked you the moment I saw you. Long Chando sneered at me with malice. Luckily, the bedchamber is protected by formations. Only a select few can enter. You couldn't have stolen anything even if you tried. I looked at him impassively. Glancing at the plaza, an idea sparked in my mind. I subtly activated the green light from the Thunderbolt Bamboo hidden in my pocket, aiming it at the ground. Long Chando didn't notice a thing. You scoundrel! Yesterday you tricked me, and today you're trying to carve up my territory? How dare you act so brazenly? This will be my dragon palace one day. Long Chando strode toward me, smirking coldly as if he were a predator eyeing helpless prey. I'll give you 2 choices. First, be my loyal dog and lick my boots clean, don't expect to receive any other orders. Second, I'll beat you into submission and turn you into an obedient dog. Choose wisely. He sneered, as though he already had me cornered. There's no need to choose, I replied calmly. Oh, so you've chosen the second option? Then you're asking for it. Long Chando's eyes narrowed with mockery. Meeting you here is quite fortunate. I've been meaning to give him a surprise, I said coldly. Still spouting nonsense, he scoffed, raising his hand suddenly to grab my neck. His strength was immense enough to crush my windpipe. I shook my head and instantly activated the 10-step death technique, dodging his grasp. He froze, clearly not expecting me to evade him. I felt a surge of excitement. My 6 days of unconsciousness had significantly improved my movement technique, my speed had doubled. You've come at the perfect time. Yesterday, I wanted to kill you, I said, staring at him icily. He laughed mockingly. Dodging one move makes you think you're special? That's hilarious. Laughable. You're facing death, and you're still smiling? I'll make sure you die in agony. Killing you will seal his fate. I thought about it yesterday, and today you've walked right into my hands, I sneered. Rubbish, he laughed dismissively. I flicked my wrist, pulling out the destiny talisman I had prepared yesterday, holding it firmly between 2 fingers. A mere broken talisman, and you think you can challenge me with this? He burst into laughter, doubling over, his face flushed. You're not even worthy to be my dog. Die already. My face remained calm. My fingers trembled slightly, and the talisman suddenly emitted a radiant light. In an instant, the fingers holding it were reduced to ashes. The talisman flared with an invisible force, spreading to his hand, which began to glow as well. Destiny lies in your own hands. With palmistry, you can control fate, I thought, concentrating my will. Long Chando had already closed the distance between us when he suddenly froze in place, unable to move, as though an invisible hand had gripped him tightly. What have you done to me? He demanded, struggling in vain. You're practicing a heretical technique with poor aptitude and an even poorer brain, I said coldly. I took the opportunity to read your palm. You've already fallen for my tricks once, yet you never learn. Who's going to believe you? A tiny talisman can't control me. In 1 second, I'll rip your heart out. He roared, his face twisted with fury. Let's see about that. Before he could finish speaking, his eyes widened in shock. He looked down to see a sharp tip protruding from his chest, which then burst open. A short sword had pierced through his heart. The movement was so swift it was almost imperceptible. The blade was razor-sharp, leaving no trace of blood in its wake. My thunderstrike bamboo sword was finally perfected. Long Chando froze, stunned, unable to believe the reality before him. With the onset of excruciating pain, his body trembled. Even as a monstrous practitioner of dark arts, he couldn't withstand having his heart pierced. I told you I'd run you through. Why didn't you believe me? I said, approaching him, a wave of satisfaction washing over me. Long King, let me cut off your escape route first. Who are you? The ferocity on his face faded, replaced by fear. Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that you brought this on yourself. Trying to kill me? You don't even have the self-awareness for that. I raised my hand, and the thunderstrike bamboo sword flew back into my grasp. I gripped its hilt tightly. Father, help me! Long Chando turned, staggering toward the square, calling out for help. In the blink of an eye, I flickered behind him. The thunderstrike bamboo sword pierced through his neck. He convulsed a few times before falling silent, unable to make another sound. Leaning close to his ear, I whispered, "Shoo, your father's busy at his wedding. Why call for him? Just die quietly and don't interrupt." His face was filled with resentment, regret, and fury, but his life force ebbed away quickly. Moments later, he was dead. I slowly withdrew the thunderstrike bamboo sword from his neck. Its blade was as sharp as ever, untouched by blood. Blood spurted from the wound once more as I let go. With a dull thud, his lifeless body collapsed to the ground. I stared coldly at the fallen Long Chando. Yellow River Dragon King, today is your joyous day, but it seems misfortune has struck. What a double celebration. I smirked, suppressing his life force to seal his fate, ensuring the Yellow River Dragon King wouldn't sense his death. Then, I cleaned up the blood and hurriedly dragged his body to a secluded spot. Just as I covered it with grass, his corpse transformed into a black, razor-toothed fish. It was massive, as thick as my thigh, with fins resembling eagle claws. I laughed. So Long Chando was a black carp spirit, a hybrid mongrel at that. No wonder he was so ruthless. A black carp in the pond, other fish wouldn't stand a chance. Killing Long Chando had been in his nature all along. I was about to head toward the square when a burst of sinister energy erupted from his remains. It was the residue of his dark arts leaking out. Having absorbed too much energy and blood essence, it now dissipated naturally without his control. Once the dark energy dispersed, a faint dragon aura began to seep out of his body. I crouched down, pressing a hand to his chest, closing my eyes to sense it. When I opened them again, a cluster of golden dragon blood floated in my palm. This was all the dragon blood he had to offer. No wonder his aptitude was so poor. This amount of dragon blood wasn't even worth 3 or 4 drops to me. This life won't be wasted for nothing. Your dragon blood will serve as payment. For someone like me, with a half-dragon lineage, dragon blood could only help. It might even bring me closer to becoming a true dragon. I stored the dragon blood away. If I weren't pressed for time, I'd have loved to cook up some sauerkraut and stew this Long Chando. Time was running short. I sped toward the square. As I approached, I slowed my steps. The square was already packed to capacity, with no sign of the Dragon King. No one seemed to notice me. Clearly, all eyes were on the Yellow River Dragon King. Finally, you're back. At the edge of the crowd, Morong Chingcheng rushed over, clearly relieved. I was worried something had happened to you. How could I explain that to Long Shiyu? You're not hurt, are you? She asked, concerned. I shook my head. My chest ached, but it wasn't serious. Don't scare me like that again. Do you know how anxious I was just now? She said. So it's come to this? I asked. They're about to start the wedding ceremony, she replied. I pushed into the crowd eagerly, but Morong grabbed my arm. Don't act rashly today. The Dragon King just appeared, and he looks to be in great spirits. In great spirits? I didn't respond, my gaze fixed through the throne. On the round platform, the Water Palace lady stood in a phoenix coronet and red veil, her tall silhouette exuding loneliness. Her hands were clasped tightly over her abdomen, like a nervous bride uncertain of her future, waiting for me to bring her the news she longed for. She seemed to sense my gaze, releasing her tightly clasped fingers, her posture gradually relaxing. Was she hoping for me to take her away from the wedding? I scanned the surroundings, searching for my cold-hearted father, but the space beside the Water Palace lady was empty. Where was the Yellow River Dragon King? Morong had said he'd appeared earlier. I immediately searched for his figure. A distinguished guest arrived earlier. The Yellow River Dragon King went to greet them personally. Morong said. A distinguished guest? To have the Dragon King greet them personally, they must be extraordinary. My eyes locked on the Dragon Palace's entrance. The auspicious hour for the ceremony hasn't arrived yet, so they're starting with a wedding game, Morong added. What kind of game? I asked. I'd seen something similar at the Lin family's wedding last time. Guess the object. She pointed to the sky. 9 glowing spheres hovered above, identical in size, completely sealed. Their contents were invisible to the naked eye, and divine powers couldn't penetrate the formation. It was a weak formation. The crowd whispered among themselves. Some crafty individuals eyed the spheres, while others began casting spells to guess their contents. People murmured their guesses, but aside from a few experts, most were clueless, frustrated by their inability to discern anything. Even with the Yellow River Dragon King absent, they couldn't decipher the mystery of the spheres. The Dragon King declared earlier that anyone who guesses the contents of just one sphere will receive a gift from him or have one condition of their choosing granted. Morong explained. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere here exploded. Everyone's praising the Dragon King's generosity. She added, her face lighting up with excitement. Even if someone guessed correctly, no one dared to make unreasonable demands. The last time the Lin family held a lottery, the winners were too intimidated to ask for anything excessive. Let alone at this wedding. 18, can you guess? Morong Chingcheng asked curiously. Hard to say. I kept my eyes on the glowing orbs in the sky. I think it's difficult too, she said helplessly. If I guess right, you have to save me. I glanced at her, and she awkwardly looked away. I stared at the glowing orbs. If the Dragon King wants to play these games, then I'll play along. If guessing one orb meant he had to agree to a condition, then I wanted to see if he'd agree to something outrageous. What if I told him to eat dirt on the spot? Would he comply? Just then, the 9-tailed fox whispered in my ear, asking if I had found the letter. I replied that I had. Don't act rashly. Don't participate in the wedding game. Don't expose yourself, the fox warned. I have a way to deal with him, I said. Do you know what he's planning to do today? The fox asked sharply. I know. I read it in the letter. You young people are too impulsive. Don't you understand? As long as the mountains remain, there's no fear of running out of firewood. The fox's voice grew cold, clearly disappointed in me. I really do have a plan. The letter said. I tried to continue. Not listening, she interrupted, her voice even colder. No, I once thought highly of you, but now I see I was wrong. If you won't listen to the advice of your elders, you'll suffer the consequences. I won't help you anymore. You're on your own. With that, she fell silent.